we should be live. I think. No?
Yes.
Hi. Okay.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. Hi everyone. Still just doing sort of some last minute setup things. But this is our Skinsights live on ingredients that you ask us about. So hi. But give me a sec to just hay papel higiénico por ahí. Juanpi. ¿Me pasas, por favor? Thank you. Okay, so hi everyone. Let us know if you can hear us. I'm dealing with a bit of a flare, but we'll make it happen. Yeah. Just making sure that we're all set up. We won't be going live for another maybe 10 minutes, so we have a little bit of time. Okay, so yeah, just finishing up setup. We're here on a sunny day in Manila. Let me know if you can hear. Of course. Now we're gonna have construction. Fabulous. That's, yeah, that's perfect. ¿Me ayudas con ese ruido? Por una hora ese ruido no va a funcionar. That is funny. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get that the construction stuff dealt with, at least to hold for like the next hour. But hi, if you're there, let me know if you can see well and hear well. Decided to start a little early because we're outside again, and I wanted to make sure everything was working, but you never know with these things, so we'll just go with the flow as it happens. Yeah, and make sure we get to all your questions today. Today we're going to be talking about different ingredients that you have asked us about, and yeah, keep the questions coming. We have a bunch of questions from you as it is already, but it would be nice to get more for sure, to make sure we don't miss anyone. I will give it just a few minutes more and make sure. So yeah, let me know if you can't hear me or can't see me well. And thank you. And then we'll get to your questions in a bit. But when? So we're gonna be waiting for my mom to come join us. Ah, Juanpi, sorry. ¿Puedes decirle a ella que vamos a empezar con ella más o menos pronto, tipo en 10, 15 minutos? Gracias. So that reminds me, if you're watching and you have questions in Spanish, that works too. In Tagalog, sure. I don't know how well I could do the highly technical stuff in Tagalog, but we'll make it happen. If you have any questions for me about, but she knows?
Yeah, yeah. Just waiting.
Okay. About VMV or products, or really anything, I can address those when my mom comes, who is our founding dermatopathologist. Then we can talk, we can really sort of dive deep into ingredients that you have asked us about. Okay. So there, I hope everyone is well. let me know. Remember, please, to ask your questions about ingredients that you want to know about early so that we can get to them. Here we go. Okay, at least we're on. Yay. Hi, Jana. I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, but I'm glad you can hear me well. And yeah, I don't know where folks are, but if you're in the US, then good evening. If you're here in Manila, good morning. At least it's a nice sunny day. No more rain, thank God. Okay, so we'll just give it a few more minutes to let people come in, and then I'll go ahead and start on our topic today, which is ingredients that you wanted us to dive into and get more information about. So there. Oh, it's been a wild 2 weeks with the elections in the United States, the transition. And then in the Philippines, we've had to deal with a huge typhoon and lots of people affected. So actually, I'm going to take a little bit of time in the beginning and talk about some safety things to keep in mind if you've had contact with flood water. Some of the things you can do to stay safe. And then, yeah, we'll dive into those ingredients that you want to know about. Hi, Veron. Morning, Nina. I'm seeing people trickle in. There. Okay. So at least we're live and folks can hear us. Oh. You know, the last few times I think we went live, we had problems with connection. So I'm hoping that this holds, and if it doesn't, then we'll just come back live. So, you know, don't go anywhere. On Facebook especially, just refresh, and then we should appear above the previous live. And on YouTube, just refresh as well if it looks like we've just hung and aren't moving. It's usually a good thing. Okay. I'll go ahead and start, folks, so that because we have quite a bit of ingredients to get through, and I want to make sure we get through all of them. So yeah, welcome to our Skinsights live on ingredients that you have asked us about, and that's basically what we're going to do. We always get questions about different ingredients that we use at VMV, but also ingredients that people sort of just hear about in the news or when they go shopping or whatever. I'm Laura, I'm the CEO of VMV Hypoallergenics, and before I get started, I want to remind everyone to please follow us on Facebook, on Instagram at VMV Hypoallergenics, and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We're putting up videos every week pretty much at this point, and to click the notification bell so you don't miss our content when it comes. If you're hearing this, or my kids in the background in the other room in school. If you have questions about ingredients or anything else, frankly, just put them in the comments, and make sure you do that early so that I can make sure my mom or I get to them quickly. And then, yeah, let us know if there's anything else or what else you'd like to learn about. We got a comment about dandruff and flaky scalp, which I hope we dealt with in the dry skin. We delved into a little bit in the dry skin live stream 2 weeks ago. But so let us know what else you'd like to know. So before we get into our topic today, I'd mentioned earlier that we're dealing with a few crises, right? So in the United States now, we're seeing a spike again in COVID cases. And in the Philippines, we were dealing with a huge typhoon that was really rather devastating, and we tend to get them in the Philippines every so often, and this was no exception, unfortunately. So for those in the United States, certainly in the Philippines, still any country that's still sort of dealing with COVID cases, please do still limit how often you go out. Try to limit yourself to going out to when it's really just sort of essential and necessary, and when you do go out, please remember to wear your mask. In the Philippines, it's actually a requirement to wear a mask and a face shield, which is safer, and obviously still wash your hands, disinfect, etc. If you're a frontliner, we work with a lot of frontliners here. you might want to consider adding monolaurin and virgin coconut oil as part of your kit, especially if you're already suffering from some hand dermatitis and other skin problems. We have a live stream on YouTube on the top skin concerns in the pandemic, which you might want to check out. And also keep in mind, you know, the European Task Force on Contact Dermatitis published a letter saying that they're encouraging people to wash their hands very frequently, as we should be, but consider using an allergen-free wash, fragrance-free. You might want to use something with SLS, which is one of the ingredients we'll get to in a bit, because it is an antimicrobial as well. And again, maybe something with monolaurin. And virgin coconut oil is such a, we're actually doing a study on it now for mild to moderate COVID cases, and there are published studies from decades and decades worth of published studies from way before in the 70s to now, showing the antimicrobial efficacy of monolaurin and virgin coconut oil, also as antivirals, also against corona and enveloped viruses. So it's something to consider. If you've been affected by floods and have been wading through flood water, please make sure to wash your hands and feet very, very well as soon as you have access to clean water. Hi, Gavin. Join. This is my son, Gavin, who's going to help me with sort of our PSA to help people keep safe after the floods.
Sorry I'm late. I had to solve one last math problem.
That's always important. So,
Yeah.
if you've been exposed to flood water, wash your hands and feet very, very well as soon as you have clean access to clean water. Disinfect just as you would to prevent COVID. So, a gel, if you have it, Boo Boo Balm is great, especially if you have fungal infections, can be common now, but don't self-diagnose and don't self-medicate. Make sure you see a doctor. Yes, dear.
So if I'm correct, flood water is toxic.
No. It's
Yes,
not
it is.
toxic. It just,
It's not good.
well, no, because there's risk of infection. The top risks actually, so you have the fungal infections that do tend to happen, but they could be anything, so you don't want to be self-diagnosing. But the top concerns are MRSA and leptospirosis and tetanus. So in the Philippines, the Department of Health has recommended that anyone who has waded through floodwater go to your nearest health center for free diagnosis and prophylaxis for leptospirosis, and or to get tetanus boosters to be evaluated. So
Oh wait, a related question.
yes.
Tetanus, is there a cure?
No, that's why you need to get vaccinated and you need boosters. We had a tetanus shot fairly recently, didn't we? And it was, so the injection of the tetanus shot is not an issue. It actually was quick and over very quickly. And a nice tip that we have as a family that is published in a great article in the NIH is to what?
Cough.
Cough.
Don't actually cough though.
If someone's about to inject you, so you go, ready, I'm gonna inject, and you do that.
Because it distracts your mind.
Apparently the pain receptors in the brain can't do both, cough and deal with the pain at the same time. So
That works.
that works. So yes, as a reminder for those who've been wading through flood water, go to your local health center or doctor to get a prescription for doxycycline, and get evaluated for tetanus risk. These are both free at health centers, so just take care of yourself. And lastly, to our regular Skinsights and viewers, we thank you for your patience because we didn't have a live stream last week. But we were focusing on our employees who are were most affected by the typhoon. It was a tough week, I won't lie. So we're still sort of reeling from that, but
Tough.
getting up and getting going.
It was more than tough.
It was more than tough. I had a moment. Okay, so getting into our topic for today, there's so much information out there on different ingredients, and while it's nice to have all this information out there, a lot of it can be misleading or incomplete.
Yellow news, fake news.
Yeah, or just sometimes people don't quite know how to interpret clinical studies, or a study is done on an ingredient, but it's done on a small sample size, or just on animals, and animals fed the ingredient to the equivalent of their body weight over years, etc., etc. So there, we thought we'd give more information about ingredients that you've asked us about, including many that we use in our own products. But quickly, before I call in my mom, our resource expert today, just some quick reminders.
You can shop our products at, if you're internationally, you can shop it at vmvhypoallergenics.com. But if you're in the Philippines, vmvhypoallergenics.ph.
Indeed.
Also, please click the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.
There you go. In the Philippines and in the USA on vmvhypoallergenics.com or .ph, watch out for
our thank you sale.
We have a big thank you sale coming
on November 26th to 30.
November 26th to 30. So make sure you follow us on social and subscribe to our emails so you don't miss out on those announcements. In the Philippines, right now, we are giving away a...
I get my due.
Yep, I get my due pouch with a free Red Better Calm the Heck Down Balm plus a moisture-rich complete travel set of the Super Skin Care Super Skin Starts Here set for dry skin. So it'll be a cleanser, toner, and moisturizer in that cute little pouch. And there are more exclusive deals that will be announced. Your mama needs coffee. In the Philippines, we're giving one of our popular hold-alls. So this is the VM Verdant bag I didn't show before, which is cool. So it's that thing. Actually, it's the big one too. But check it out. Why I like doing this. This is how I fold it. So I make sure that the handle's down like that, and then I fold it like this, and then I make sure these doohickeys. What am I trying to say? These two strings are sort of hanging out, and then can you hold that side, honey? Just hold that. Thank you. I roll it up like this. And
educational, guys.
See? And then it becomes this, like, I just do that and it holds. And the nice thing about these things, there's no plastic. Even our zipper is plastic free. It's canvas, so you can toss it, especially with a pandemic and whatever, or anything else you're dealing with. When you come home, you can toss it in the laundry, so it gets really clean.
Oh yeah, I don't really like metal zippers when it just spent like a few hours in aircon because it's so cold.
So anyway,
it's so cold.
In the Philippines, you get one of those and a Red Better cleanser. And then, don't forget, we're also, if you're fighting infection, you too can just like join us if, you know, you're going to be chatting away. So in the Philippines, you know, if you're fighting infection and concerned about that, even... we do make the monolaurin pellets at VMV Skin Research Center, which you can let us know about if you want some of that. If you want to teleconsultation with my mom or any other doctor we work with, send us a private message. We'll make that happen. And for everywhere, remember you can private message us or on our website, send us the results of your patch test.
And we can customize recommendations for you based on your particular allergens.
Exactly, based on your particular allergens and possible cross reactants.
All right, that's
you
my
are
cue
off.
to go.
Okay.
I have to go.
Love you.
I have another school call. Bye.
But what happened to your Lola?
Lola, come on.
I lose one, I lose the other. Without further delay, I will call in my mom, our founding. Oh, you look so nice.
Hello.
Our founding dermatopathologist. Mwah.
Who's my favorite grandson?
He left.
Oh, I wanted to give him a kiss also.
You can like
Hi.
it.
Hello.
Okay. Hold on. Let me make sure that you're seen.
I have to put this on. I'm really sorry, but because it's bright.
Everyone likes it. You look cool.
There you go.
There you go.
It's
So
more
that's,
comfortable.
yeah, you're
Thank
totally
you.
seen. I think we're good.
Hi.
So, many people know that Dr. Vermen Varalyo Raul, who is my mom, is a multi-published teacher, researcher, clinician, etc. But what some of you may not know is how great a head she has for chemistry. And it's really interesting because we work with a lot of doctors who are brilliant, but not a lot of doctors actually understand the chemical why of why an ingredient works the way it does, or even how to make things mix in a formulation. And she, very uniquely and alien-like, because that's who she is, understands it. So She works with our, chemists and formulators, but she really sort of understands how to make it happen, which is awesome.
Let me just interrupt that thing.
No, because I'm still introducing
okay,
you, so you have to
all
wait.
right, okay.
So this understanding of chemistry, of formulation, combined with the fact that she's a dermatopathologist with a deeper, more microscopic understanding of skin, makes her the ideal resource for today as we talk about ingredients.
Thank you.
Right?
Yes.
So say hello. Now you can
Hello,
say
everybody. I just would like to, I'd like to be very humble and truthfully about this, that knowing all of these ingredients, this chemistry and all that, is really a continuing learning process. And I learn from everybody. I talk with everyone in the laboratory and the pharmacists and the chemists and, all of these other people who are experts in them. And it's from them I learn. And just to let you know, I was burning the midnight candle last night because I was refreshing myself as
she's
well.
so funny.
About the most current things that are there on studies.
Y'all don't even know. So here's the thing. She's brilliant. I mean, we all know this, right? Here. Maybe for your back, that's comfortable.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
That's more comfortable.
So she's brilliant. She studies every bloody night anyway. And I grew up thinking this was normal. You just have stacks of journals and you're studying into the wee hours. But for this live stream, she bones up. Because even though she already knows more than arguably everyone watching, she will bone up anyway just to make sure there hasn't been anything published in the last 3 months that she's missed. So she actually shows up late sometimes because she's been boning up on this stuff, which is pretty awesome. So the nice thing is, you're getting really updated information that she has access to, because a lot of us lay people don't have access to this because we don't subscribe to these very particular journals, and obviously doctors do, right? So just a quick shout out, Matanglao in 03, happy skinsational morning. I love the puns, keep them coming. And Penny Lane, who's a regular, hi Penny, great to hear VMV, or we are doing research, it's actually VSRC, it's actually her, is researching the efficacy of VCO in fighting COVID.
Oh, yes.
There's actually a few, so we're very excited to be part of the groups who are looking
part
into it.
of a cosmos. I'm part of a world of now VCO conscious and monolaurin conscious people in the Philippines, because there are big studies ongoing now in the Philippine General Hospital, a huge general hospital for the urban poor as well as people who can afford them, because there's also a private hospital there.
It's a big hospital.
They are solely on COVID, I believe now, and cases, and they only admit the severe cases. But they now have an ongoing study in the use of virgin coconut oil for COVID-19. Another one just finished, I believe, in Cavite, which is a neighboring town, and these have already shown that it is quite effective in some cases. I don't know quite the results yet.
It's
the
early
details.
days.
And we have a study ongoing at the Quirino Memorial Medical Center,
Right.
which is also a high-class kind of a hospital center of the Department of Health. And what we're doing is we're actually comparing using the virgin coconut oil as an antiseptic for the skin, the throat, the mucosa of the mouth, and of the nose. So it's also put into the nostrils, inside, and inhaled. And then we are comparing actually whether, the simple things that they give for mild to moderate RT-PCR, positive COVID cases. So this is called the mild to moderate cases of just using the VCO this way and, and comparing it.
I shouldn't have brought up VCO because we'll just be here
yes.
forever. But the point is, yes, we are looking into that. A lot of people are, not just the Skin Research Center, not just sort of these government institutions, but a lot of places are. And I think it's great because there are vaccines now that are coming out, but we don't know really for sure long term what that'll be. So the more angles that we attack this problem from, the better. And this might be more affordable for some people.
Absolutely.
The world's poor and much more accessible,
Exactly.
right? And we'll learn more no matter what. No matter what the results are, we will learn more. So that's pretty awesome. So, okay,
Yes.
diving straight into it. The first ingredient that we've heard about, retinol versus retinoic acid versus tretinoin. What's the deal? Good, bad, ugly. What should we know?
Oh, the very best.
Still the
Until
gold
now,
standard.
it's still the gold standard in treatments for the skin, because it has, as the years go by.
Wait. So what's the difference first? So retinoic acid, tretinoin, retin A, retinol.
Right. Retinol is vitamin A, okay, and then retinoic acid is tretinoin,
Okay, so
and it has so many trademark names.
okay, so retinoic acid and tretinoin, retin A, that is all the same thing.
All the same thing.
Retinol is different.
Right.
Okay, and the difference is retinol is vitamin A.
Retinol is vitamin A. It's really one of the, it is the kind of the mother ingredient coming from wherever your source is, from food or whatever. And then the tretinoin is one of the things it becomes in the body, okay? And therefore it is synthesized and made into products.
Okay.
And these products are then what you buy, and they come in different forms. The most studies that have been shown have been with tretinoin. Okay, so
Tretinoin slash retinoic acid.
retinoic
Okay.
acid, and it's fantastic
But
because
okay,
in the years before, back in the 60s, which is where I was doing my residency at the Cleveland Clinic, Kligman, and so many others have already come out with the fact that retinoic acid is fantastic on the skin, and it's fantastic, but it is at higher doses an irritant. And so people have come down and down and down. So there are 0.01, 0.025, very low concentrations versus the high concentrations. And there, it's my favorite actually right now. I might as well go ahead and share this with you, is because it's a lipid. I mean, it dissolves more in lipid than in water.
Wait, before we go there, let's break this down even further. So retinoic acid, tretinoin, is a vitamin A derivative, right? And it works why? It's a keratolytic, right?
Yes, among other things.
Do y'all know what that is?
It normalizes.
What is a keratolytic?
In acne, or as part of photoaging, or as part of aging itself. One of the problems is that at the very most superficial layer, the barrier becomes disrupted. The keratinocytes, those are the cells that are immediately beneath that skin barrier of the stratum corneum. They become abnormal, and therefore they shed and shed. And they produce little scales that therefore clogs up the pores, or, is right there at the surface. That gives you your dry skin, your rough skin, and your little comedones and whiteheads and blackheads and all of that. So the tretinoin, the nice thing about it is that it normalizes that keratinization process, so that it behaves and therefore sheds slower, and then therefore goes back to the normal squamous desquamation of that stratum corneum.
Good Lord.
A
Okay.
good barrier. Was that too much? I'm really sorry.
It's awesome. But here's the thing. So our skin is made up of various cells and various layers, right? Keratinocytes are the cells that are the horny outside. I
love
know. Every time I say that, she giggles. She's like, I don't understand. She's a serious doctor, but that makes her giggle. So it's the horny external layer of the skin, right?
Yes, right.
That makes up the outermost part of the skin.
That's right.
And our nails, correct? We learned this from a 5th grade class. This was so funny. Or rather, they spoke at a 5th grade class, and the 5th graders so quickly were like, oh, and nails, right?
They
Go
said
figure.
if there were keratinocytes also in the nails.
right.
I said, Jesus Christ. How old are you guys?
So the desquamation is the microscopic exfoliation, another way to say it. And I think most people are familiar with the term exfoliation more than
Yes.
desquamation.
Because you do peeling and all
Right.
that.
So it's basically getting rid of the old dead cells. And this retin A as a retinoic acid as a keratolytic helps speed up and make that process more efficient. Is that correct?
Very good.
Okay. So then
You're a good student.
that's why we get such wonder. It's extremely effective at that. The things to know: retinoic acid, tretinoin, same thing, right? They're both drugs. They're medical, like pharmaceutical drugs. So you need a prescription to get them. Retinol is not a drug, but it's also not as effective, right?
Yes.
Do you know why it's not as effective? Is there a theory behind that?
Well, you'll have to go back now to what's known about retinoic acid, and then we'll know about retinol, right?
Yeah.
Retinoic acid is an amazing drug, not just because it's a keratolytic, but it's also anti-inflammatory because it actually acts on the cells themselves within the hair follicle. So, and it is part, it has receptors. It's a fantastic drug. It really is, because it's able to arrest some of those things that are expressed in inflammation. Because basically down the line, acne and all of these things that we're talking about are mostly inflammatory skin conditions. There is an
Exactly.
inflammation that's driving the process. And retinoic acid happens to be an anti-inflammatory. This is just something that people are discovering many, many more studies on, so that it is now used for many other things, not just in the skin. Okay. Vitamin A.
So
retinoic
retinol
acid.
is not.
No,
as
retinol is not as effective. It's a more mild version of it, and so. But the nice thing about it is that it can be found in
Sorry, I'm
as an
laughing because the
ingredient.
kids in the back are going nuts. But sorry, yes, it can be found in
Can
ingredient.
be found in ingredients for cosmetic skincare daily use, because it does act a certain way, just like retinoic acid as well. It does a little bit of keratolytic action. It does a little bit of anti-inflammatory action, but not as strong as retinoic acid.
Right.
And so over the years, we dermatologists have been using retinoic acid as treatment, as a drug, but there are ways to go around it, right? In my own office, I use.
I'm not sure I want to.
Okay, we don't want to go there.
Get into that. Dermatologists follow the rules. We certainly do. But she has in her pharmacy in the clinic by prescription, what she's done to mitigate, which I think is really clever, the effects of the irritating effects of retinoic acid, is put it in virgin coconut oil.
That's right.
And this is sort of the secret magic potion that a lot of people who are her patients love. I hoard my stash like it's liquid gold. And it's virgin coconut oil with a percentage of retinoic acid. And again, because it's a drug, you have to get it from your doctor so that the percentage is correct for you. Because if it's too irritating, this sort of, you get a backlash, right? You have to stop everything now and wait till the skin heals. Then you risk post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation as well. So retinol is not a bad, useless active.
No.
It's
Not
just,
at all.
yeah, it's just sort of not as intense as retinoic
Which
acid.
you want, because you're going to be using it as a daily skincare.
Right, so both are actually really legitimate options. If you are really interested in tretinoin, absolutely talk to your doctor about it to see what's right for you. And remember, as in all active ingredients, you better wear that sun and light screen day in, day out, whenever you're using active treatments, especially retinoic acid. Whether or not you applied it on a given day, you have to use a sunscreen.
And just as a last thing about that, our world is changing so much. There is so much ecological, environmental factors that are in our air today, thanks to COVID. But even before COVID,
Oh yeah.
the exosomes and all of those things that we are inhaling, as well as applying and gets into your skin, are in our food,
Everywhere.
in particulates,
Also
in
stress.
chemicals that are
Stress,
coming
stress,
out of
stress.
the industrial
Yeah.
revolution that we keep having, so that we have things in the air, including dioxins and ozones and things like that. So even younger people may want to start something already with your
Yeah.
doctor. Go to your dermatologist. Ask already, depending upon the kind of exposures you are getting at your work, at your factory that you may be visiting, at places that you may be going, at the travel that you're doing, etc. Have a dermatologist properly, even when you're young, to find
Actually,
out what you should be doing.
We just put up videos on regimens for kids as young as 10. So I started at 9.
Yes.
And so did my sister, because her father had adult acne. So it was a matter of prophylaxis, of prevention. She started at 9
Right.
with retinoic acid, actually. So look into it. Sorry, one more important note about retinoic acid. It is in an oral medication as well for severe cystic acne.
Fantastic.
Really, really good. The thing is to remember with retinoic acid, let your doctor know if you are pregnant or trying to get pregnant, because it is a known teratogen. So it definitely is something to monitor. or if there's a risk of you getting pregnant, you can't be on the oral retinoic acid. This is very important to remember. Okay, so going to the next ingredient, let us know in the comments, folks, if you want to know more about something that we're saying. Otherwise, I'll just jump forward to the other things that we heard. Lead. Classic old favorite.
Yeah, right. Well, remember I was talking to you about exposomes? It's one of the things, and it's part of our earth. It's there.
Yeah.
So practically everything you eat or drink may have a little bit of lead also. But to therefore add it as an ingredient in a cosmetic, I don't know.
Okay, so a couple of things. As she said, lead is actually in our earth, period. It's in the air we breathe, it's in the water we drink. It's just part of our world, like chlorine, a lot of different elements, just it's there. The difference is if it's also added as an ingredient or as a hidden substance within another ingredient in cosmetics. Years and years and years ago, Marie Antoinette, etc., yeah, they had lead. Yes, it was poisonous. They had it in powders. It was a real issue. Over the years, cosmetics people, remember, not cosmetics people, cosmetics, people, remember, is a regulated industry in the vast majority of countries around the world. There are a few countries where it's not regulated, but they're really few. So part of the regulations are really strict about what ingredients you can use and the purity of those ingredients.
Correct.
And colorants, which is usually where people worry about the lead in lipsticks and that sort of thing, that's very highly regulated. So you can only use a few types, and it has to have a certain level of purity to make sure it doesn't have contaminants like lead. There have been some reports. I read an interesting report on the US FDA, FDA.gov in the United States, about some brands from some countries that had higher than normal lead concentrations of lead in their lipsticks. But I mean, considering the thousands of brands out there, that there were like 2 or 3, it's really quite rare. And again, they were caught because it's a regulated industry, right? What she did, she actually did a wonderful calculation that I think we have on a blog post about the percentage of lead that you have naturally in the air we breathe and in the water we drink and in our soil is far, far more than the lead that you have in a pigment that is then further diluted for use in a lipstick. So the risk is actually quite low. It's not like we're back in Marie Antoinette's day putting on lead-laced powders on our faces. So it's really quite rare and not something to necessarily be worried about.
That's true.
Okay.
Until now, I say the same thing.
Yeah, same. All right, so next ingredient, SLS. And
sodium lauryl
sulfates.
sulfate.
Yep.
It's, it's what everybody loves because it bubbles. It's what you get a bar of soap. Any bar of soap will probably have sodium lauryl sulfate in different kinds of quantities. The more bubbly it has, the more sodium lauryl sulfate it has.
Things don't need to bubble.
Yeah. The thing about it is that it's been studied very well, and I reviewed it recently, and until now it's really not an allergen. It's more of an irritant. When it's used at higher concentrations, it can be irritating, and by that you mean that an irritant just means if you get a high concentration of it, you will become irritated by it, but at low concentrations it doesn't. Compared with an allergen, which is whether you have a low or high concentration, or even the lowest, will give you a reaction called a contact dermatitis or an allergy.
And arguably anything can be an irritant, right? So if this is canvas, it's quite smooth, but if I were to scratch my hand like this for 5 minutes straight, 30 minutes straight, if I just kept doing that, this would be an irritant, right?
Yeah.
So with SLS, it seems to be concentration related. But the nice thing about SLS, SLES is they're coconut derivatives, right?
Yes.
And they're also
it is actually that
antimicrobials.
L over there is lauryl, sodium lauryl sulfate.
Yeah.
Because many of these surfactants, they use the fatty acids from coconut oil. So a lot of people will say, I'm allergic to coconut oil fatty acids because of that. So no, it's the amidoamines. Those are the additional chemicals that they add to. So I'll give an example, cocamidopropylbetaine. So it's the amido ingredient that is
Right.
added to the fatty acids that can produce that. And so when we have a patch test with the American Contact Dermatitis core group of 80 allergens, there are about 5 of these amido amines that they include because they in fact are known allergens on the skin. They produce allergies.
There you go. Yeah, so when you say, sorry, this is my daughter now who's going to say hi. It's all in the family today. We're all just loud today. We
This
got
is
loud
my
kids in
beloved
the background.
granddaughter. I really, 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 really love her.
There you go. We love her.
Love you too.
What can I say? So anyway, so when people say, you know, they don't want to use coconut surfactants, it's not about the coconut, it's about the processing. So for example, SLS,
The chemical added.
SLES, yeah, SLS, SLES are actually not top allergens. They can eventually become, but they're so ubiquitous. They're all over the place, and they're still not top contact allergens, right?
Yeah.
But the amido amines are the things to watch out for. So yeah, SLS, SLES are really kind of awesome, also because they're antimicrobial, right? Now the thing is, sulfates was the other thing related to this.
Sulfates.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
And
And, you know, let me tell you about the ingredients that are being used nowadays. They come from natural ingredients, and they come from synthetic made in the laboratory because it's simpler and easier to do. But more and more nowadays, we're getting products from the sea, the marine, the collagen that you're getting to hear about a lot nowadays. Much of that is really from marine life. Bones, skin of fish, and other things. And of course, from certain Asian countries, you're getting a lot of chemicals from the sea as well. The sea jelly, the whatever jelly and all that is being added to
the noise.
and I tell you, you know, reviewing all these chemicals last night, which is, you know, I was thinking, Jesus, there's so many coming up in the world, especially among smaller manufacturers and bigger now, and there are really not that many studies yet. You know, they're not like retinoic acid, which is all over the world. We have some really
but
big
so going
studies.
back to sulfates, not really a big concern.
Not
at
a big
this
concern.
point, right? So okay, I just want to make sure I get to very quickly. Jana has been asking, is there a good resource that can be used to identify all the related names that an ingredient can go by?
Oh yes, there's one, and you will love this, whatever the name of the company is. It's called Contact Dermatitis Institute. Just look it up, Contact Dermatitis Institute. Log into them and then log into their database. And in the database, everything is arranged alphabetically.
There you go.
You want cocamidopropylbutane? Click on the C, get cocamidopropylbutane downward, and then the very first thing it will tell you is a definition of what it is. The next grouping will be all the many names
It goes by.
They go by.
There you go. Does it also include cross reactants?
Cross reactors
No.
not as much,
Yeah.
but it also then it tells you all the products that it contains. That's it contained in.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's a wonderful
Great resource.
Contact Dermatitis Institute. My hesitance is this, that
How about camp?
yes, also sorry. So there's a wonderful program called Contact Allergen Management Program in the United States. It's also really good. If your doctor is with the American Contact Dermatitis Society, they'll have access to it, and it's wonderful because it'll spit out the allergens that you're allergic to, but also brands that you can use. The thing is, and you can find that at contactderm.org if you're in the United States. The thing is, though, sometimes some of the potential cross reactants aren't necessarily obvious. Like she'll have some instances, was it propolis and rosin? That, so it can get a little bit complicated, but this is a wonderful resource to start with. And certainly for us, you can ask us and we can help.
And in the end, go and see your dermatologist who does a lot of patch testing and contact dermatitis, you know. And most of us really are. There are some, of course, who are a higher degree about that, but go to a good dermatologist who will, even if he's not really an expert into contact dermatitis, he or she will look into the materials. We're very easy to talk with.
Okay. Another question. I won't get into it. Using a lot of products already and eczema-prone skin, can I add to my skincare routine products with active ingredients like kojic acid, glycolic acid?
Very carefully. That's the very name acids means it's going to irritate that skin. And if you are prone to eczema, you probably have already used steroids or topicals that can be a thinning of that barrier layer. So you tend to be sensitive and easily sting So if you place an acid like kojic or glycolic or whatever kind of chemicals, it may sting too much. But if you can also do this though, is you can place first a moisturizer, an oil, a simple oil. My favorite, of course, would be coconut oil, and then a little bit of the acidic product. You would use it on small areas first,
Very slowly.
Very, very gently. Use it every other night or even every third night, and gently introduce it.
Yeah.
And then slowly the acid will begin to produce its good effects, and you will be able to say in 2 weeks, at the most 4 weeks, if you're really that sensitive, you'll begin to see the changes of glowing skin, more thick skin, no longer thin or wrinkly. It's really fantastic. You can use it, but
very gently. Okay, so the next ingredient we got asked about, glycolic acid.
Glycolic acid, okay. Might as well tell you about mandelic acid. Among all of these acids, mandelic acid...
No, glycolic acid first.
Okay, glycolic acid is a very good exfoliant. In other words, it removes the top layer of the skin, and it can penetrate a little bit deeper into that epidermis, so that it, bothers those cells a little bit. They start to proliferate more, then they grow, so that there's a normal thickening of the skin that you can observe over time, a normal plumping of the skin, because they become, young cells are plumper, right? Old cells are shrunken, right? Like I am.
So, okay, so it's actually a similar action to retinoic acid.
Yeah, many
and
of the acids
retinol,
are. Yeah,
right? Similar
Right.
action, but it is not a drug.
but they're not retinoic acid.
And retinoic acid is a drug. It's still the gold standard. Glycolic acid is not a drug.
But
and
they do the transformation process for
Yeah.
the keratin layer and the epidermal cells,
it's really good too.
and may have a little bit of anti-inflammatory effect. Can I talk now about mandelic acid?
No, because I want to add. So we're diving deep into
Cheers.
ingredients that they wanted to know about.
Oh, okay.
So if retinoic acid is from vitamin A, glycolic acid is from sugarcane. Just in case you didn't know that. And also, glycolic acid is a drug past a certain percentage. And here's the interesting thing about glycolic acid from a manufacturing or formulating point of view. A lot of formulators will tend to shy away from acids precisely because they get irritating, right? But that's kind of part of the efficacy. That's sort of part and parcel of why they work, is a little bit of that irritation, right? The difference is, if you look at the formulation of a product that you're using, if it has, say, glycolic acid or kojic acid or whatever, or retinol, and if you notice, it also has fragrance, it also has dyes, it also has parabens and preservatives, then you're kind of really upping the risk factor for a reaction, because you're already dealing with an irritating ingredient that has positive effects, but now it's in a formulation with so many allergens, it can be an issue, right? And the other thing really to keep in mind is the skin. People talk to me a lot about, the pH of the skin, the pH of the skin. It's not that complicated. The pH of the skin is a little more acidic than neutral, because the skin has an acid mantle that's really important for its protection. So the skin is naturally slightly more acidic. It can take these acidic treatments if, as she mentioned earlier for the eczema-prone viewer, if you're very careful and slow about gradually increasing the application frequency of that acid, but you don't want to then be using products that are on the opposite end of the spectrum. So if you're using an acidic product, like an active treatment, and then you're using a bar soap for the face, then you might have problems, because bar soaps are extremely basic, very high pH.
Very high pH, 8, 9.
Versus the acid active treatments, which are like 4, then your skin kind of really goes nuts. First of all, bar soaps on the face are just not a great idea.
That's right.
But imagine when you have acids, then your skin is really kind of going nuts. So some things to keep in mind with things, so glycolic acid, in order to mitigate that risk of irritation, a lot of people will use high percentages of glycolic acid, but diluted versions, buffered, right? Versus unbuffered, which is sort of purer in concentration, more effective, but the risk of irritation is higher, right? So you just have to balance it out with using safer stuff, no allergens, etc. Okay, now you can talk about mandelic acid. No one asked about it, but you can talk about it if you want to.
Okay, mandelic acid is my favorite among these acids for skincare, simply because it actually is more acidic than glycolic acid, but it has large molecules.
Molecular size.
So it stays only on the surface, acts its acidity on the surface skin only, and doesn't get to penetrate into the deeper part of the epidermis as, say, what's the next one? Lactic acid and, glycolic acid and all the other acids.
That's
and
fantastic.
retinoic acid, which goes all the way down to the dermis, right? And so because of that, for skincare, mandelic acid I find very nice. It doesn't irritate as much because it's really just surface action.
And it has a lot of benefits.
But it does the action where I want it, which is right on the surface, just enough. And it is more acidic, so it does a better action actually right there. So that I recommend mandelic acid for regular daily skincare kind of product that you want to use.
Okay, the next ingredient people are asking about is vitamin C.
Vitamin C, what can I say about it? It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful chemical. We use it a lot as a helper in antioxidant work in the skin and all, and in the regeneration of the skin cells as well. But in a product, it is in the first place very, very easily oxidized.
Pretty unstable.
Yeah, very, very unstable. And so it's, by heat, by pressure, by, processing, and by putting
just
them into
handling.
bottles. Yeah. And then putting it in bottles that are partially opaque or whatever, the light itself coming up from outside, eventually, So that the best vitamin C products are therefore in very dark brown or even opaque bottles.
The best vitamin C products
And
are oranges. Eat them. You can get them.
Eat your vitamin C.
It's
Your vitamin C.
It's better to eat your vitamin C because it just is so difficult to extract, process, handle, put in a formulation, put in a powder, put in a bottle, have it survive shelf life. That thing, by the time it gets to you, frankly, I don't know what's left. Not a lot. Not a lot. So vitamin C, in and of itself, is a phenomenal antioxidant, right? Phenomenal. But it's really unstable. So the chances of getting it, even in supplements, it's not so likely. So if you're gonna be vitamin C-ing, eat it, drink it. Not in, just to be clear, this is home-boiled, home-pressed turmeric.
Turmeric
Juices that you buy off of the shelf that claim vitamin C, again, be careful because a lot of it is just sugar and then added vitamin C. And again, you don't know how much you're getting because it's such an unstable, persnickety diva of an antioxidant. It should be a diva because vitamin C is awesome. However, she doesn't like being handled. So eat her in broccoli, citrus fruits. Oh, there's a bunch. You can Google.
Anything colored. Yellow, red, green,
There you
peppers,
go.
red peppers,
Absolutely.
and
So
Carrots,
yeah, so
tomatoes.
vitamin C in skincare and in makeup, I would look askance. Like she said, maybe if the bottle's extremely dark.
And it has a little tiny thing.
Yeah,
that
there's no
so you
exposure
don't
to
put
air
your
and
hand
light.
there and
Maybe. But honestly, in skincare, I don't know how much you're actually getting. The next ingredient people are curious about is niacinamide.
Oh, my favorite. Vitamin B3. It is an amazing ingredient. It does a lot of things. What it is really is that it's part of the process in the mitochondria and the cells that produces the energy that makes me sit here and talk with you and talk with my daughter, and you know. So it's part of the energy making machine. So in many ways it helps the sunscreens, in many ways it helps the regrowth, in many ways it does a lot of things, but added into into a product, it just helps the energy of that person become better and stabilized. And that person means also the cells that are working inside the body.
But that's taken internally.
That's topically as well.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
And
So
it's,
yeah,
and it's very stable, you know, so you will see it in a lot of products.
it's picking up. It's
Yeah.
becoming more popular
Right.
because the studies are more voluminous. There are more of them, and they're consistent. They look good. Niacinamide, if you see it, look into it. It's a good option.
For anti-aging and all that. Okay.
We have a helicopter. So we had kids yelling and singing in the background. We had my daughter serving herself cereal. Now we have a helicopter. I apologize. The next ingredient, someone asked this, I think on Instagram, licorice. Why is it not recommended for pregnant women or nursing people?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I haven't heard that actually.
I promise I'll look it up and put your name down and we'll answer you on Facebook.
So, but in general, with regard
whatever.
to pregnancy and nursing, there aren't that many cosmetics with a molecular size small enough to penetrate epidermis, dermis, get to the bloodstream, get through the uterus, and get to the baby. And also because cosmetics aren't ingested, breast milk isn't such a big concern. There are notable exceptions. So she mentioned tretinoin, retinoic acid, can get to the dermis. Steroids can, for sure. Topical steroids.
Anything that's a small molecule, lower than 500 Daltons.
Nanoparticles. So look into that. Disclose that to your doctor if you're concerned.
Yes, right.
But for the most part, what you apply on your skin, it's not easy. This is a wonderful organ that really protects us well. For something to get through the epidermis alone is pretty rare in cosmetics. To get through the dermis, survive the bloodstream, get to the uterus, through, and it's a lot. So I don't know about that licorice thing.
Except
but
that
something to look at.
I'd like to make an exception to that. Many of people nowadays, including drug companies, by the way, and pharmaceutical companies, they're now looking into getting into the world of cosmetics. Because there are now more and more people who are doing products that are really cosmeceuticals. You know, there is no such classification in the world.
No official regulatory.
That's right. The regulatory bodies do not officially recognize cosmeceuticals, but in fact, a lot of people, including, like I said, pharmaceutical companies, are now latching on and getting cosmetic companies that with them they make studies for cosmeceuticals. You have to be on the lookout for that because some of the ingredients that are going to be used in those are going to be tiny.
Yeah, look at the
small enough to go
molecular
through,
size.
and
is really
it may
what
in
you're
fact
after.
therefore bother your pregnancy.
Yeah, so nanoparticles and
And
things like that.
breastfeeding.
Yeah. Okay, so we have maybe one more question here from what we asked earlier. We have maybe another two or 3 minutes with her. So if you have any comments that you want to rush in, please write them out. If she's already gone, I'll do my best to answer them, and if not, we'll make sure we write them out later. But as a final one, I'm going to group them together: fragrance and essential oils.
Ooh, I love fragrances. I love essential oils. I can't use any of them because I'm so allergic to them. So is this woman over here. We're both photoallergic and allergic to them. They are, itchy, including to. So, yeah, they're photoallergens. And actually, in the American Contact Dermatitis Society 80 allergen tray that I regularly use as my basic parts testing, there are fragrance mixes 1 and 2, and individually there's ilang-ilang, which is one of the nice smells from flowers that are grown in the tropics and are used by manufacturers to make these very high class perfumeries. They're all allergens,
They're
however.
really allergens,
Yeah,
folks.
and photoallergens,
If you're not allergic, bless your heart and go nuts. I love lavender and would just swim in it if I could, but I just can't. So I enjoy it from a distance. Some people are so allergic that even airborne, lavender will cause issues of redness here, where they're smelling it, and also hyperpigmentation because it's a mega photoallergen, fragrances are. So if you're allergic, you're allergic, unfortunately. If you're not so allergic that maybe you can tolerate it
or like
airborne,
my daughter, she puts it here.
yeah, or you waft it and you walk through it, sure, right? But unfortunately, no matter how organic, you grow it your own self and you care for this rose by
Organic
yourself.
has nothing to do with it.
Yeah, an
It's the
allergen is
chemistry
an
of the
allergen.
material.
It's like an organic bee.
Yeah.
Different cells are involved, but if you're allergic to bee stings, I don't care how organic that bee is, don't go near it, So just a quick comment. Oh, sorry, parabens was another one that came up quite a bit.
Parabens used to be our safest preservative, but over time it has also been, and there are about 4 or 5 of them. Over time it has shown itself to also be an allergen, and again it's part of the 80 allergen tray of the American Contact Dermatitis Society, the ACDS. So it is now also considered an allergen, and probably not as badly, but it does there. So
And
whenever you can look for anything that's not preserved with regular preservatives, which are basically antibiotics, that's what you
Better.
look for. Yeah.
Thing to note about parabens that always comes up is the concern about cancer, and there's just not enough evidence for that. If you go to the American Cancer Society website, it still says there was one study that talked about parabens and testosterone, estrogen. There you go. But it points out the problems in the study, that there was no clear correlation to the use of parabens being the reason why the estrogen levels were higher, and the estrogen levels weren't even higher than that in like a normal person. So that one study has since been questioned. Again, you don't eat this stuff. It's in everything. That's the thing, though. It is in food, it is in cosmetics, etc. So parabens, maybe scale back a bit because they are allergens, they are antibiotics. But as of right now, there isn't enough evidence to make a real link between the use of parabens, especially in cosmetics, and cancer. Breast cancer, I think, in particular. Just quickly, a nice message to you from Isla. She was my derma 25 years ago and taught me how to control my eczema and accept it.
Oh, I know her.
Okay. Sorry.
Thank you, Ella.
And sorry, we have another question from Arlene on YouTube. I had contact dermatitis 2 months ago due to hair dye. I'm good now. And I'm wondering, can I resume my more active skincare? Active ingredients, kojic acid, glycolic acid.
As long as you're good.
Giga White.
You've heard what we said about the acid and how to use it properly so that, especially if you are in fact sensitive skin, absolutely, very
slowly.
careful, very slowly.
What I do sometimes, so what she said earlier about maybe applying virgin coconut oil first, that's sort of the same reason why she does retinoic acid in virgin coconut oil. There's sort of a mitigating factor for the irritating risk, right? So that's for virgin coconut oil. You can apply it first, then apply the other stuff. I apply an anti-cathelicidin, I'll say specifically what it is later, but I apply an anti-cathelicidin redness inflammation calming cream with potassium azelloyl diglycinate first if I'm really flaring like I am now. My sebderm, if you could feel this, is disgusting. But I will apply first red better here.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, see, it's
I can see
disgusting.
it.
So then I'll apply actives after that. But I can get into that. If you can stick around a little bit, I can describe a little bit more what I'm saying without being so vague because she's here. So there, I think we're done. I can let you go.
Thank you, world. Thank you for listening in.
Thank you for your questions.
I love you all.
They're
Take care
awesome.
of yourselves.
And now she's
There's
updated
COVID
again.
out there.
Because she has to study. Be safe, everyone. Mwah. Thanks, Mom.
Thank you, my dear.
All right.
She's
you
a good
can go.
student.
I'll stay here. I am. I listen.
She's now a PhD in it.
Wow.
Bye.
Wow.
Adios.
Bye-bye. Okay, so I will stay a little bit longer, guys, and get to more specific answers for some of those questions. Someone had asked earlier about using, so you're using all VMV products already, have eczema prone skin, can you use illuminants and everything? And the answer, like she said, is extremely slowly and carefully. Little dots, little dots, and over a cream, or I was saying I used Red Better first. And then I put on actives if I'm flaring. Otherwise, I can take it without a problem. My sister, when she's using retinoic acid and virgin coconut oil, gets extremely irritated actually, but she loves it. So then she'll put Armada post-procedure or Baby, a pretty thick sunscreen, and then we'll put actives on top of that, or foundation on top of that. So it's doable, you just gotta be really, really careful. And then Arlene, in terms, I'm so happy the hydrobalance worked for you and the contact dermatitis to the dye is over. Same answer to you, my dear, which is to go very, very carefully with illuminants. We have, if you go to vmvinskin.com, there's a nice article about how to combine regimens. We can put that maybe in the comments, the link to go to that article, and it shows you not only some popular combined regimens, like I combine Super Skin Toner, ID Toner, it goes first, then Super Skin, then everything in illuminants and Armada, etc. So, and the virgin coconut oil with retinoic acid. So it's doable, you just have to do it very carefully. So that article has some sample regimens of products that we make and how to mix the actives or how to use them in one regimen together. But it also really importantly has very, very specific step-by-step best practices to do that safely. So there. And Penny, I'm so happy to see you again. It's been a while. And I'm so happy we talked about SLS and lead too. If you found that helpful, and I'm sorry we missed my mom, talc is not harmful. It's not an allergen. There's actually a concern with mica more because of the way it is harvested, which is not great. Although we try to do it ethically, it's an imperfect system as of the moment. But talc is also one of those things that's highly regulated. If you look in cosmetics, when we formulate, when we have to source a raw material, we have to get the MSDS, the material source detail of the ingredient, and it has to stay within very specific parameters of what's in there, the purity of the talc and what's allowed in there. One of the bigger concerns is asbestos. So you can't have any of that in there. I think we actually also have a post on this. If you go to vmvinskin.com in the allergen, not an allergen tab, or if you just search for talc, I think we get into that in quite some detail. But yeah, it's also not an allergen or an irritant. So there. Okay, so in closing, folks, remember you can send us, we have that wonderful resource we've never mentioned before, and I feel like a fool for not mentioning it, the Contact Dermatitis Institute. Wonderful place to look at for your allergens and the names of the different ingredients. But you can always PM us or contact us with your patch test results, and we can customize recommendations for you based on your allergens and potential cross-reactants. There's stuff going on behind me. It seems like a really exciting class for my 10-year-old today, so but I apologize for the distraction. And you can shop any of our products at vmvhypoallergenics.ph in the Philippines.com internationally. And watch out for, here we go, Gavin gets to join my now 10-year-old. So we're giving away that.
I get my Jew.
Plus, inside is a Calm the Heck Down balm and a full set. I don't have it, unfortunately. The travel size of Super Skin starts here for dry skin, which is one of our best-selling lines. It's awesome. So that's in the United States, and in the Philippines, it's that or this VM Verdant bag with the Red Better travel-sized cleanser. Make sure to follow us on social and subscribe to our emails because we do have announcements coming. We have a big thank you sale.
Yes, we do.
November 25?
No, November 26 to 30. You can't read yet.
I can't read. And so we'll be announcing more deals. And then in the Philippines, again, DM us if you're interested in the Monolaurin pellets, if you'd like a teleconsultation with my mom or other doctors and the nutritionists we work with. And if you're interested in that virgin coconut oil with retinoic acid, the secret potion. And then I think that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
remember, please follow on Instagram and Facebook. And if you're on YouTube, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos.
Do you want to tell them to watch your video? You should watch his video. He did a video where he shares his skincare regimen. So you can, if you have kids, 9, 10 years old, that's a nice regimen to follow. And my now 14-year-old, who you just met, Madison, also has a regimen for her. And then don't forget to watch us every Wednesday. That's 9 a.m. in the Philippines,
To
which is
10 a.m.
which is Tuesday, 8 p.m. now because of daylight savings, Eastern Standard Time in the United States. Let us know in the comments anything at all that you want to learn. We really are good about answering. Like if there's one thing you need to know about
I think we
VMV,
are.
re-answer stuff.
Yes, we
So
do.
we answer stuff in emails, on Instagram, Facebook, on YouTube. I answer them. I'm really involved in a lot of the answers to our customers. And let us know what else you'd like us to talk about. So, yeah.
Also, chat comments about skin or anything else at Insta, at Laura at VMB.
I like talking to y'all, so if you want to find me, I'm not good at DMs, but if you just post in the comments and stuff in my personal Instagram, which is at Laura at VMV, LauraAT I will absolutely chat with you
Yes.
and see if I can help, if there's something we can do better for you.
Yes, you will.
So there.
See you next week.
See you next week, everyone. Bye-bye. How do I end this again, babe?
You end it.
I think I turned that off. Okay?
Yes. Bye.
I think we're still live.